Alrighty, so we have this desktop that's for sale on Best Buy, and it's $1,100. And I'm just going to go over a couple of the parts and say that if it looks decent or not, and then I'm going to show you guys options that you have for around that same price point to get a little bit better performance. Actually, quite a bit better performance for less money. So first off, let's talk about what exactly comes in this. As you can see, it's a CyberPower. It comes with a 12600KF, which is a fantastic CPU, quite overkill for an RTX 3050. The RTX 3050 has 8 gigabytes of VRAM and can play pretty much every game at 1920 by 1080 at 60 FPS. There are some that are a little bit more demanding that it really can't do it. It would be more like 50. So it's not the best GPU. Actually, the RTX 2060 beats it in like every game by about 10 FPS. The RTX 3050 is pretty much a glorified, recycled GTX 1070, which was a higher end graphics card in 2014-15 area. I actually had one for years. I loved it, and it's still actually kicking till this day. I have since upgraded to a 3070 Ti, which is light years faster than it. Also, only has 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So for gameplay at 1920 by 1080, 8 gigabytes is more than enough. Anything more, I would suggest getting a 12, or even higher. I would say if you're playing 4K, there's no perfect 4K graphics card. 3080 probably, an RX 6800 XT. I would say would be better, but this is 1920 by 1080. I wouldn't say this is better than the newest consoles, but you are going to have more variety of gaming and be able to use it for a lot more stuff. So let's look at if we bought similar stuff that comes in a CyberPowerPC. For the most part, you get an ASRock motherboard or Gigabyte. The graphics card is normally Gigabyte. For the two that I bought, they were both Gigabyte. I hate ASRock motherboards. I would never buy one myself, but it is what it is. Team Group seems to be the RAM that comes in this stuff, which is very, very basic, cheap RAM. And I'm going to assume that the motherboard is not overclock able. So the Z in your... Or sorry, the Z motherboards are the ones that are unlocked for the K series. I know Intel is super irritating. I don't know why they just don't unlock all their CPUs like Ryzen does, but they don't. I'm not saying it's a bad CPU. It's not. It's a great CPU, but if you can't overclock it, it's like not being able to go to its full speed and adjusting speeds and whatnot. So that is a setback. The case is great. They've been using this one for a while. The only problem is sometimes they put these fans in backwards. So let's see what this would cost you if you went to build it yourself. So PC Part Picker went with pretty generic stuff, as cheap as I possibly could keep it without being too cheap. I didn't buy the cheapest power supply. You'll probably get a worse one than in the CyberPower, so worse motherboard for sure. Worse power supply for sure. There's no way you're getting an EVGA. And even this one isn't the best. This one is really, really generic, and I hope that you at least get a 600 watt, 650 watt for upgrading that graphics card. Because my thinking, if you bought this gaming PC for 1,100, you use it for like a year or two, and then you go and buy a new graphics card. I'm hoping that it at least has a 600 watt for being able to buy the next line of GPUs. But let's look at this. So we have the same CPU, similar cooler, similar motherboard, probably the exact same RAM of what you're getting, which will probably be locked to 2666 hertz. Western Digital, this one is going to be better than what you get, but honestly the price difference of $5, it would just be better to get this. And then a Gigabyte, very basic RTX 3050, which is a pretty steep price. This is the second cheapest one available. And then I went with a super generic case for $62, trying to keep this fair. So there's nothing that really stands out, and your cost is $955, and then adding very basic things. Let's say a Windows 10 code is $10 on eBay. Wi-Fi is $10, and a decent keyboard and mouse combo would be $50. And that's pretty much everything that you would need. And let's add that to the 955. So you're looking at 1,025, getting better quality parts, but you do have to put it together yourself. So there is the trade-off. To get a company to build it for you, like Best Buy, is about $100 to get done. But we're not looking at getting an RTX 3050. You probably wouldn't choose one, especially for that price. Especially when there's much better graphics cards for much less. For instance, this 6600 regular. This beautiful price of $249. Oh, I would definitely go with this one. The fucking Ventus coolers have a real whine to them. My 2060 was this, and you can hear it. It's really irritating. So I would probably go with that one. I hope to God it doesn't have the same coil whine, but here we can see that the price is, much more affordable. Now having to do all that extra stuff, like we just dropped $55 and we got a better graphics card. So then same thing, we'll say $70 plus the 898, and we're well under budget compared to this one. So this is why people won't like this computer, because you can get a better graphics card, or even change out the power supply, maybe try to get something cheaper, but honestly $259 for this processor is actually really good. I probably would say get a K version, just in case your graphics card ever does kick the can. Your entire computer isn't useless, in case there is ever another GPU crisis. At least that way you can still use your computer for everyday stuff, so it's not just a sitting wasted box. But I would say if you are in the market, this computer isn't awful. I would give it like a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10 at the highest. Building it yourself, this is more of like a 7.5 out of 10, maybe even an 8 for the price. Like under $1,000, you'll be able to play every game at 60 FPS. Like I said, you can even mess around with this. Maybe choose a lesser case, get something smaller, and just have fun with it. But if you aren't comfortable building a computer, I would never judge anyone on buying a pre-built. I would say try to do your own upgrades after buying the pre-built. Try to get more comfortable, and then your next build your own PC. You'll be much happier.